anyways, I digress. So this month's theme is all about Vow to Wow. So when thinking about Vow to Wow in 2022, I think Beth is such a great person to talk about it for multiple reasons. One, just from watching your business grow, and so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But also, every year, all I hear about, I don't know about you guys, aside from it's not new to you, all I hear about is video. That's where, you have to be on video. And so having someone like Beth here to talk about that, I think would be really helpful, because I think she makes video really, like tangible feeling. Approachable. Yes. I haven't had enough of my potent coffee yet.
Couple swings, you'll be right.
I know, right? Anywho, so we like to start on the Fireside Chat with the fun question of first job, current job, because I think it's much more fun than just reading her impressive bio to kind of take it back to her
first job. So actually I have two answers to this, because I was thinking about it. My first official job, I actually had a production company. I'm not kidding. When I was a little kid,
Shut up.
I would watch movies and I'd want to recreate them or do plays, and I wanted everyone in the neighborhood to do them with me. And I knew to get costumes and that sort of thing, I had to get some money. So we started a weed pulling business. It was flawed to like fund the productions. It was flawed for so many reasons.
How old were you?
I had to be like 10 maybe. And we knocked on doors and we would say, we'll work for 5 cents an hour. One gal agreed to 50. She's like, that's too little. We'll do 50 cents an hour. And then at like 10, pulling weed to get $1, that would be, 2.5 hours of pulling weeds or however long. And so we never got a ton of money, but that was technically, like, I was always kind of entrepreneurial spirit when I thought
Jenny
about.
Yeager was here, she would tell you that was the wrong choice financially.
Oh, big time. Like your revenue, your profit margin, all of that. Absolutely. And so with my first job, I lived, there was a pool at the end of my street. So I was an intern at the pool. I folded the lost and found and answered phones.
Okay. And then
Currently, I own Mainstream Video Production.
And can you tell us about it and why you started it, or how you started it?
So Mainstream Video Production, I started in 2014. So we're going into what will be our 8th year, starting in June.
I think that's a round of applause. Yeah. And this past 5 years is a big deal.
And then when the 6th year is the pandemic, I want to say that's even better. So I started Mainstream in 2014. I always knew I wanted to work in film in some capacity. Like I said, that watch it, be obsessed with it. I think about it all the time, wanted to make it, went to school for it, and also had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Well,
and
clearly you started business at 10.
Clearly I started business at 10, and I just like to be the boss of me. I always say, like, my first passion is video, my second passion is being the boss of me. I don't like anyone to tell me what to do. Much to my husband's chagrin, some of my relationships, but that is, like, I like to be able to do what I want. And so I kind of always wanted to work for myself, but I cut my teeth in production. I went to school for it, so I have a master's degree in film, but film theory, so not at all practical.
Oh,
never touched a camera in grad school. Wrote about films.
Okay,
how does film shape society? How does film change us? What makes a film captivating? And I was really interested in audiences. So I wrote about audiences and why films were more powerful than other films.
Oh, cool.
And I was an outcast in grad school because you're supposed to be, you didn't know this part? So
I've never seen you as an outcast.
Well, get around a bunch of nerdy film students and I will absolutely stand out as an outcast because I liked mainstream films. My favorite movie is Titanic. And if you say that in a group of film people, they will laugh you out of the room. And that's what I was dealing with. And it was interesting because I was confused by that. I was like, these movies make millions. I mean, Titanic at the time that was the highest grossing movie of all time. What is people's problem with this film? And I learned that there's like this kind of art, this line of art and film is supposed to change things and make the world, and it shapes a lot of our society. And I was really interested in that. But you're not going to shape anything if nobody watches your movie because it's boring and everybody finds it painful. And that was the conversation I was constantly having. So obviously my interest was audiences because I wanted to know what made a film really captivating, what made it really popular and good, because that's what I liked.
Yep.
And I was fighting with people in grad school. So I always said, I'm going to start a film company one day and I'm going to call it Mainstream because I'm going to hit it right on the head. This is a dirty word. Everyone's like, it's too mainstream. No, that's good. That's what makes it powerful. So I knew I wanted to.
She took back the power of the word.
That's right. So
Yeah.
I took back the power of the word, but I was also 22 in grad school. I wasn't it all equipped to start any kind of a business. And I actually, as I mentioned,
More
didn't
than a
have,
10-year-old.
or yes, more than a 10-year-old for sure. But I also at this point had no production experience. So as I mentioned, my degree was in, we wrote about it. So I had to get, and I went to grad school in London. So did you not know that?
I didn't know that either.
Okay,
It's
great.
so fun for
So
me.
fun.
I hope you're enjoying it, but I'm having a great time.
So I was in London and I wanted to come back to Denver, and I didn't really think that I could come back to Denver and work in film or TV. I thought I had to go to New York or LA. So I started pursuing teaching jobs because I had a master's degree in communication. So I still teach, and that's why I teach. For those of you who know, I teach public speaking and interpersonal communication at Metro. But there ended up actually being a television network here. So I got a job as a production assistant for a TV network that was called Access TV, or it was HDNet when I started there. And I worked there for 8 years.
Okay.
And that's where I cut my teeth on writing scripts, working with editors, shooters, producing, actually creating videos. And after being there about 8 years, they had merged. And I was doing something that I was doing live TV, and live was not my jam. Live is very, it's the emergency room of productions. So I started thinking, okay, what does the next step look like for me? I wanted to start that company, but in my mind, it was like a motion picture company that changed the world through blockbuster films. And again, I need to pay my rent. And so some freelance work fell in my lap though. So training video for a dynamite company that does blasting, like literal goes to mines and blasts. They needed a training video and my dad's network. They knew I was in video. We did that, and I did a recruiting video for a football organization. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we can do videos for regular people, I guess. And so in 2014, I quit my job in February. I left in June and started just kind of saying, I'm not afraid to talk to people. I'm not afraid of sales, and I can produce anything. That's all you should need for business. Sort of true, sort of not.
Well, it got me started.
It got me started for sure.
Well,
so that's why we do what we do now.
Yeah, it's always so fascinating to me to hear like people's journeys. And what I appreciate, I think back to another event we had a couple months ago with Liz. Isn't it Liz? Liza.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was there.
And she was talking about it's the long game, you know, because it's like I think so often we're type A, you know, go-getters, and we're like, gotta get this done. And you know, looking at her business now, what do you say, 8 years?
It'll be 8 in June.
And it's, in my opinion, from an outside perspective, really getting its stride and really bowing to wow, if you will. But if you had like put the measuring stick up, you know, after 1 year or 2 year or 3 year, it's like, oh gosh, I'm a failure. You're not.
No, thank you.
But I'm just saying, like,
100%.
I think what really is still stuck out in my mind about Liza is the presentation. She's always was thinking about this like long game, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
it really sadly does take.
It takes
so long to get your ducks in a row in some ways.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And it's hard to be patient and believe. I just got over the break, like the day before Christmas. Hey, can you do a big proposal for us? And I was like, where did you hear about us? Somebody I took a coffee with like year one. I was like, I vividly remember that coffee. Never thought anything came from it, and here we are, you know. So it's all those things are doing something, but they're not. You just can't see it.
But going to Battle Wow, I do want to talk about videos. But before we talk a bit about videos and how you're gonna wow in 2022 with videos, I do think it's important because what I like about you, and you kind of already touched on it, I think that Beth is a born marketer. Right? Like even getting her master's in film, it wasn't about film, it was about the people.
Yeah.
And what do the people want? To me, that just screams, I'm a born marketer and I love marketing and business and biz dev. And from an outsider, I've always noticed that about you. And so when you think about anyone in the audience who's really wanting to vow to wow in 2022, not necessarily from the video standpoint, from growing a business and how your business has wowed, you know, what do you attribute to that? Because wait, pause. I want to brag on her, and she might not want me to. But I don't know, you don't.
I will later when I'm not here.
Yeah,
right
you
now,
don't necessarily have to disclose numbers if you don't want. But honestly, like, so I met Beth in March 2020, March 13th, 2020. I don't know why I keep trying to block that.
I know, it's like Stacey, you're going.
I know.
We actually met a year earlier, but we started working together in March 2020.
But where her business was at that point financially. Well, are you comfortable sharing?
Yeah, get in there.
Well, because you said I never can cross over a certain number.
I was at the point where I needed to make $11,000 a month. That was like, and I could do it like once, and then I could not do it for like 3 months in a row. And it was very annoying because I could do it, I couldn't keep doing it. So that's what that was my goal when I joined the mastermind.
And now her business is.
We do like, I think average, I'd have to do the whole computing, but like it's averaging like 20 grand a month.
Isn't that impressive?
Thank you.
She has essentially doubled her business since I've known her.
Yeah,
right?
oh, big
It's
time, yeah.
pretty crazy. And from when I think about wowing, I mean, doubling your business, I don't think anyone would complain. And at one point she's like, I just don't think I can do it. My business is a failure. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Clearly far from a failure.
Yeah.
But why do you think your business is like doubled, and like, how are you wowing with that? Or
You know,
what's helping you to wow?
I think it's the little things. It's there's like, it's funny because bow to wow sounds like give them the razzle dazzle, bring out the, everybody gets a party and
You get a car.
Exactly. But when cause obviously I wanted to see this question, so I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, I think what makes us successful is constantly under promising and over delivering. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but it is such a hard thing to do because it's two things. One, it's managing expectations on the front end, because expectations are arbitrary and they're about perception. They're not anything to do with reality.
Yeah.
So you can say, we're going to get you this by Friday, and if you get it to them on Saturday, it's a completely missed expectation. But if you say we're going to get this to you in 3 weeks and you get it to them in 2.5 weeks, you've blown their minds. So it's a little bit of doing what you say you're going to do, being in integrity, but constantly trying when you're offering a service for somebody, saying here's what we're going to do, and trying to beat that every time. And not every time can you beat it, but definitely meet it. But if you can beat it, I think that is what has made our clients continue to be really impressed by working with us and the experience they get throughout. And that's also how I show up in sales and for my relationships, like just a subtle thing. Like if you RSVP to an event, show up. Or if someone invites you to an event, RSVP. And if you can't make it, that's fine. Let them know. Like so many people don't do those little things that make a big difference. You stand out in people's mind when you have integrity around that stuff. They remember you as a person that showed up for their event, that was there for them, and that wows them and then wants them to, help you in some way and refer you business. So it's kind of just managing expectations. Of course, you're going to have to say no. Of course, you're going to not be able to do everything. Being honest about that, setting boundaries, and then when you can beat it every time.
Well, isn't it funny because it does sound so simple.
Yes.
But I remember when I first started in business, I tried to do things similarly, and I was shocked by how many people don't run their business like that. Like, I'm a mean what I say what I mean, and if I say I'm going to get it done by Friday and I can't get it done by Friday, I'm going to tell you on like Tuesday, right? But so many people that Friday will come and go, and it's like, what's going on? And I think that people take for granted how important that is.
Absolutely. And it's all perception. That's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter what things cost. It doesn't matter what the timeline is. It's about communication around it. It's about telling people what to expect and making them feel really taken care of. That, I've got this, I'm handling, because people, the thing about sales and about anything, at least in my business, which is very service based, is there's risk and there is a feeling like, oh, did I spend money I shouldn't have? Is this not going to turn out the way I wanted to turn out? So if you can make that, make them feel like, oh, this was the best money spent, they're going to spend more money. That's the other thing. Most of our clients, I think a big part of our success too, is because we've done that simple, under promising. And it's an exercise in you. We have a employee, I'm not picking on her, but she always is like, wants to get things done right away. Like, oh, I can get it this Friday. Okay, great. Let's tell the client 2 weeks. And please, like, I want you to get it done Friday too, but don't tell them that, because now we don't have a chance to wow them, because now they're expecting you to hustle for them, which was already a lot to do. And I love that you want to wow them, but that's kind of, managing that piece of it is the wowing factor. But same with price and being able to say like, not, people getting really excited about what they pay is also really excited. And then that, again, just generates more people trusting you and wanting to do more stuff with you, and it makes it really easy to do business that way. That's what I think has been the biggest like trigger point for us and why we've grown. Yeah,
because that whole managing expectations.
Or even in relationships, you know. Oh yeah.
Let's not go down that road. Just we can talk for hours on that, but nothing to do with bowing around. I'm gonna keep us on track. Keep us focused here, Beth. Yeah, no, I think that's really important. And so we talked about how you battle out. I was actually thinking you were going to talk about standard operating procedures.
No, but that's what I was getting there.
Okay.
Because that is also the same thing. I mean, it's like the little things as far as like, you have to do what you say you're going to do. And if you don't have that, we worked a lot on standard operating
So I was like,
procedures.
I wonder if she'll talk about it.
I did. I was getting there. But standard, I mean, we've done some simple things like getting contracts online, getting, having a list of here's what we do, having email templates for when someone signs a deal, here's the email they get with the Calendly link, having that all super mapped out so you're not reinventing the wheel makes it possible to make sure you over deliver and under promise, because you're not organizationally trying to figure out your process every single time, which we were doing a lot of before last year. Yeah. And so those small little tweaks, it's the little things that make the
I think of a RISE member, a founding RISE member at St. Louis, Sheila Burkett, I hope I didn't butcher her last name, who's a very impressive businesswoman who's actually, I think, leading next week's session. Her business has like doubled. I mean, she blows my mind. She was already impressive and it's grown tremendously. And she's kind of an unofficial mentor of mine, and RISE was having problems here and there a couple years ago, and I called her and I was sort of sobbing to her. And she's like, well, about staff. And she's like, well, do you have written down exactly what you want them to do when they walk in? Like smile and say hello. And I was like, why would you write down smile and hello? And she's like, you need standard ops for every single thing. And I think it's like people like me and people like Beth, we're more like ideas and biz dev and sales, and sitting down and mapping out every little thing that we do is so painful.
But you can get so much more done. So much more done.
Well, because then you can keep going and growing. So I do think that's a big thing about
if you're just copying and pasting an email being like, oh, this is a new client, what am I going to say to them? Like, you've thought that through. You just copy and paste it and move on to your next thing. You do actually have more time to thought ideas.
But you just need a bad guy to be like, sit down and make your standard ops. Anyway,
standard ops are legit.
Moving on to video, which is probably why you all are here. So 2022, video, reels, TikToks, all the things. So how do people wow with video? Or like, what are some things that people need to be thinking about in terms of video and as a business owner? And especially if you're like me, who like hate video.
What do you hate about it?
It's to your point earlier, it's such, I don't know about you guys, but I find video such a vulnerable experience. It's like, I'm a smidge of a perfectionist. So it's like, I gotta look right, I gotta sound right. And it just takes a lot of time, to capture a 1-minute video. I don't want to tell you how long it takes me because it's embarrassing. I made that reel the other day and it was mortifying how much time I spent on it.
I think that is probably my first note. Is I love my industry. I think they've done a really nice job. The elusive they, of coming up with like this super accessible technology, right? I mean, when I started in 2006 in television, cameras were $80,000. I mean, I remember being around them and be like, don't break that camera. And the businesses that could afford to create commercials and that was, a fair amount of years ago. It was 2006, but still, it is so accessible in terms of, we can all get on Reels. We can get on TikTok, all of our phones. The network I started at was called HDNet because it was so crazy that stuff would be shot in HD and broadcasted. That's how that's the whole network was in HD. And now everyone in this room has an HD camera, so it's a 4K. Most of our cases have a much nicer camera than that. So technology is really accessible, but video, the reason that it is such a compelling medium is because it is combining all of our modes of communication. So writing, audio, all of the nonverbals that happen when we interact with somebody, music, the visuals, and then the moving of the visuals. You hire a branding photographer, or graphic designer, a copywriter, and you practice your what you're actually writing, your message, and then you being the person giving the message. All that's happening in a video, and it can happen in 1 or 2 minutes. That's why it's powerful. But that's also, it's more complicated than just pushing a button on your phone. So my first thing for people is to manage their expectations. Nobody's going to go up, anybody that's never skied is going to go up and think that they are going to be a master skier by the end of one day. No, we have an idea of surfing, any other type of thing that we're just learning to do. And the same is true for video production. So I think it starts with expectation management.
Always.
It's not, yes, some of you may take off and all of a sudden have this videographer, secret talent. And next thing you know, you're making a video every single day and it's effortless and easy and it's where you want to be. Most of us are not like that. So just kind of managing the expectation around what it really takes to create a great, compelling video, I think helps people to understand, okay, what's the time commitment really going to be? And maybe if I am going to put a half day, not that I don't love that you spent a full half day making a reel.
That's just a starting point. I'm hoping to shorten that.
Well, exactly. Like, and then starting to see, okay, you know what? I don't mind shooting it as much, but I do need help editing. That's the time suck that really got me too much. Or I don't mind editing as much, but if I could get someone here to shoot this and do the lighting, but you have to understand the process. You have to understand video and how video is created. So it's one, managing expectations in terms of how hard or how much time it's going to take. And then of course doing it, because there's no substitution for practice. So the more you do, the better you're going to be. And then producing your video. Right. So what I mean by producing your video is knowing where your video is going to go, what the point of your video is going to be.
I think these are good notes. I'm going to slow it down. So you take notes.
Before you ever
start over. Okay. Well, because here's the thing, we hear like video, but that to me is such this like big umbrella, like, okay, well, what does that mean? When do I need to have someone like you versus some stupid TikTok?
Right.
Like, so having this very clear thought process.
It's funny because I have a course that we teach online about video marketing 101, and I was just going over it, and I talked for like 45 minutes about planning, and I'm like, I stand by it because I know people want to be like, what filters can I use, and how do I get that fun transition thing? And it's not like that is where people get trapped. Yeah. If you know where your video is going to go.
Yeah, go back to that list.
Okay. So it starts with the life of your video. Where is that video going to go? So what medium is going to go on? What social media channels?
Like, is this a website video?
Right.
Is this a social media video? Is this an email video?
The life of the video, and what is the one action that you want people to take after watching the video? And we're talking specifically about marketing videos. You can, in general, I think that's a good communication guideline. What is the one thing you want your audience to take away at the end of the speech? Right. What, if you're making, I watch a lot of TikTok cooking videos, what is the action we want somebody to feel empowered or excited to make this, whatever it looks like. But getting it clear in one sentence will really help narrow down the entire rest of it. Yeah. Because if you know where your video is going and how it's going to be used, and you know the action that you want your intended audience to take after watching it, it's going to simplify what you're actually shooting, what you're actually editing, how long it's going to be. All of those questions get answered if you plan on the front end. So,
well, and I'm going to pause you for a minute. I think that's marketing in general.
Yeah.
I so often think that people just like, I have to do things to do things. Like, I need to be here. I need to be here. But it's like, okay, what is your goal here?
Right.
What are you trying to accomplish? And is this the right place to accomplish that?
Totally.
Thing? And I think that if we can spend more time on that, then the less that hamster.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you don't just start in building. People don't just like, I know I need a wall here. Let's just drywall. let's get to it. Let's get the mud. Let's get the frames. Like, that's what people do with video. They immediately take out the camera, and the camera is something that in our process with our clients, and then when we do our own videos, it's something that's so far down the road. Where in this, in this buyer's journey, what video are we making this person's, are they at the end of the buyer's journey so it can be a longer video, or is it the middle? Those questions answered. And then from there, I think you can make an assessment about quality and how you want to budget. I'm a big fan of DIY. We love DIY videos. In fact, we just joined a huge property management company. We hired a property management company. They just got 50 million in funding. So they're a big company. So I get my onboarding video. I'm like, all right, let's see what this big company's got. It's the CEO in a room. He clearly DIY'd it. Yep. And it didn't bother me. It worked. Oh. It really worked because it was framed correctly. Yeah. The audio was good. His message was really, really tight. Here's what you need to do for onboarding. Here's what's happening next. Here are the steps. He didn't try to give me a 10-minute video about 80 different things. It wasn't a marketing video. I was sold. This was onboarding. I'd signed a contract, so it's a different place, a different time. So all of those things help you make different production decisions.
I think that's really smart. And I think that's why what I love about her business and what I think is so important is that you have these separate things. It's not just like, let me sell you this big video package, which actually I'm going to go a different direction. I digress. This is something I was thinking about with you. Similar to our business, what you do is such a vulnerable thing. Like where you go to work and who you spend time with is very personal and scary in some ways. Having someone put a camera in front of your face and produce something that you have in your mind is sort of scary in some place. Also, I think sometimes people don't understand the value of it. So when you put a price tag of X thousands of dollars, it's like, I could just get my iPhone out. You know,
I'll just drywall this thing real
yeah,
quick.
I just spackle some stuff over here.
Oh yeah, we forgot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so when I think about the sales process and helping people to understand the value of video, like we all hear video, 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 but I think people don't understand the value of it. And what I love about what you offer is that it's like, okay, fine, I'm not going to try to convince you to spend X thousands of dollars. If you don't want it, you don't want it. Here are some ways to go about it. So I think it's interesting how you set up your business.
And this is actually a good point that I forgot I wanted to make. The other thing about video, in addition to it being so compelling because you've got visuals, you've got audio, you've got all of the things happening at once, it transcends space and time.
Ooh.
So, okay, all of us are in this room for probably, I'm not going to say a selfish reason, but a
You're going to say timing by
Oh, no.
45 minutes.
No. For some sort of self-serving reason, right? Either you want to learn about videos, or you want to be there for Stacy, or you want to meet someone new, or whatever it is, right? And so we show up, we put on our makeup, we put on our clothes. We know that
put on a dress
I put on a dress
today.
today because Stacy is always wearing a dress, so I have to compete. Wasn't going to look like a frump show over here.
You would never live with a friend ever.
Sometimes I definitely do.
No.
But you know, and you know that you give tours, right? Because tours are going to give people a sense of the space. And if people see the clothes and you can talk to them about Ember, like that's, you know, everybody knows this stuff. But they're afraid to put that on video. And I get it, it's vulnerable, but everything you're doing in your business can be filmed, can be cut up, and can get in front of, I mean, the amount of people you can get in front of on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on all of those mediums is amazing. And I think it's that's one thing I think helps people, is to say you're not afraid to show up in life because you know what it's going to do for your business. And now, while you're giving a tour in real time, you can be giving a tour online. While you're in this meeting, you can be giving someone a demo of your clothes. I mean, that's the power of video from a business standpoint. And that's actually how I sell that piece of it, is, you know, thinking about, most people know activity. If you hire a salesperson, it's because you want them to go talk to this many people. And you know, if you talk to this many people, they'll convert at such a rate. Video is going to be a salesperson. I have a full sales team on LinkedIn right now while I'm in this meeting. So that's like the biggest thing. And the other thing is, you also, with marketing, anything to do with marketing, is you have to test, and you have to do it, and you have to test it, and you have to see what works and what doesn't work. And that is why we offer the services that we do, because some people know they have a full marketing team and they're ready to go, and they know exactly where their video is going to go, and they know where they want to shoot it, and they have a general idea. They just need us to kind of help them through the process.
Right.
A lot of people are coming at it a little vaguer than that. Or they have a bunch of Zoom recordings, for example, in Annie's case. Like, I know I have this great content out there. I don't exactly know how to package it up and what to do with it next. And we want to work with all of those people. And so that's kind of our process, is we meet you where we're at. We have a ton of free content online for just how to DIY it. Here's DIY steps.
And plus, I would follow her on LinkedIn. You always put great tips out there on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we really do. And we get a lot of sales from those actual videos.
And regardless if they want to hire you or not, there's awesome tips.
Yeah, that's the hope there too, is that, you know, no matter what you're doing, you are, you're able to like get something and use it immediately wherever you're at in your video journey. Because some people need to go through, this was a lesson I learned early on in my business. I mean, I wanted to shy people away from DIY. I want to say, like, unless you have this like secret skill set of being a videographer, it is going to waste your time and it's going to not do anything. Just hire somebody.
Right.
But some people need to see that through.
Well, and I think about you and Annie and Beth. Like, I always believed in sales. Like, it's not my job to twist your arm.
No.
You know, if you have a good enough product, people are either going to want it or they don't. And if they don't want it,
that's
great.
fine.
And when they're ready and when it serves them, they will find you and come back to you. Versus if you strong arm somebody, they're going to resent you.
No, absolutely. And absolutely shoot stuff. If you could love editing and you could love shooting and this could be your thing and you can do it really quick, great. I'm all for that. But you also might need to understand, as a business owner, this is how I am. Like, why can't I do it myself? why do I need to, okay, I know now exactly why I need to spend this money, and here is.
Sadly, I'm that person.
Yes,
A
yeah.
lot of us have to learn the hard way, and the sooner we just embrace that, the
Right.
better.
Or be an educator, and that's also, just, I feel like for people that know more, and that's, the more you know about the video, the more you're gonna be like, okay, now I get it. Like, now I know what I'm spending, now I know what this is going towards, and
then that
helps.
dollar makes more sense.
And that dollar makes so much more sense, yeah.
Whereas if you've never done it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not spending that money. Well, that's like with marketing. We recently hired a marketing company to take over our social media, and I've been doing our marketing since we opened. I was very, because so many marketing companies say they're gonna do X, and they don't even come close to X. And it's like, I'm just lighting money on fire. And so when you find a company, whether it's video or social media, who actually will deliver, it's game changing.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Game changer.
Yeah.
So I could talk to Beth all day, clearly. Love talking to Beth, but I have a feeling that you guys might have questions, whether it's on Zoom or here live. I know Tori, correct, is watching for questions on Zoom. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if somebody has a question who's watching, go ahead and put it in the messages, like, here's my question, and Tori will, we're so high tech that Tori will then text Anna Marie, and then Anna Marie will shout it out to us. So there might be a delay in our fancy high tech system. So bear with us, Zoom people, and also people who are live here. And if you guys don't have questions, don't you worry, I can keep talking.
Yes, Lori has a question.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I was in mastermind with Beth,
Yeah.
and everything she says about under promising, over delivering, and being supportive is like a gazillion times.
Oh, good.
So,
Cinnamon.
yeah. So I got to witness some of this.
Yeah.
Growth that she's
Yeah.
talking about, but I'm just learning so many things. It's awesome. So I'm wondering for you, what do you think was most helpful in doubling your revenue from a business standpoint? Like, what tools, what things did you enact, or what things did you stop doing? And then secondly, what was most helpful in that growth from like your own personal mindset?
Don't answer. Yeah, we'll make sure to repeat it so you guys hear that. So her Lori's question to Beth was, in her doubling, what was something as to why, what helped cause that? Like what tools?
Business-wise.
Yeah. And then the second thing is like in terms of like mindset and things like that. What did you change to double that? Did I get that question right? Okay, that's what she asked. And
It's such a good question, and it all goes back to like Rise the Mastermind. Not exactly Stacy, but everybody in the. First of all, honestly, Donald Miller. That is, we all
shout out
got
to
super shout out to
wait,
Donald
who
Miller.
in St. Louis? Why am I blanking your name? Who does the coaching?
Debbie.
Yeah,
Debbie
Debbie does
Jordan,
coaching
yes.
for Donald Miller.
Yes, and you guys all you drank the Kool-Aid originally and kind of got us all on it, but his proposals made simple.
I just sent you some information on that.
Were a game changer, and actually, and the big takeaways for that is, one, don't do a proposal unless someone's willing to meet with you. Call their bluff,
Yeah.
and that has been such a game changer, because then you could spend 3 hours making a proposal, thinking, and I'm telling you, if you're spending 3 hours making a proposal for someone, you're in business with them in your mind and your heart, and you've done everything for them, and then they don't even call you back.
Yeah.
It's that, talk about mindset. That is, so just saying very simply, would love to present this proposal to you, what time works for you? And if they don't get back to you, they're not buying your proposal if they can't sit down with you for 15 minutes. That's what I'm talking about. Like little teeny tweaks made such a big difference. Also in your proposal, saying right at the top, here's the problem we're going to solve for you.
Ooh.
Nobody, that Donald Miller,
Yeah.
all day long, nobody cares about you. They care about their problems. They don't care about, I wouldn't say nobody cares about you, but you know what I mean? Like when it comes to,
That's not what's going to make them decide.
that's not, no, they want to know what problem you are solving for them. So honestly, incorporating that into my
And
proposals.
so that's like,
First line, I just did a proposal before I came in here, help convert more sales on your landing page through compelling online video. Here's the prices, because that's what she called us for. We have a landing page, we need a video for it, so just right there, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And then the other thing was the bandwidth with SOPs. I mean, honestly, going from getting like little automations, getting our contracts to where you e-sign, I know that's dumb, but it was such a huge time saver where people could just quickly do that. Making the barrier of entry to give people money to work with you is absolutely low as you possibly can. You know, hey, let's spend 15 minutes and go over the proposal. So you're not sending them a 10-page document where they have to find 45 minutes to read it. All they have to do is get on the 15-minute call and you're going to walk them through it.
Smart.
And then honestly taking, okay, what is our process? Getting that all documented. I knew we'd come back to SOP, no way. Getting it all documented, getting it all templated, making that just made it possible to deliver more, which honestly, that's the tricky part, I think, with the doubling, is if you don't feel like you can take on more work because you're overwhelmed or you're stressed out or you're desperate, you're not attracting clients and stuff. So if you have it where it's like, okay, this person signed, they're ready to go, we know exactly what we're doing, the bandwidth to go out and get somebody new, the bandwidth to take on another client is there. So your mental capacity, your mindset shift has literally come because you got it all lined out, ready to go. So that's kind of how I look at the SOPs, is like being the mindset. I remember feeling like, okay, we have 4 clients at 11,000 or whatever that looked like, and feeling like, where are we with everything? What has everyone got? And if you're in that kind of chaos, you don't have the space to say, let's bring on new clients. So getting that all outlined just gives you the space and the feeling like, we can do more, bring it on. I copy and paste this email, you know?
But I think it's interesting to kind of, we always hear when people are successful, like what it's like now. I think if we back it up, it's interesting to look at your journey. So she did our mastermind for 2 cohorts. In that first mastermind, I think getting Beth around really powerful, really smart, Julie Holland, I think you're on this, you're one of them, you know, inspiring women, getting the people who she's spending time with.
Yes.
Gave her, I mean, I'm speaking for you, but from an outside perspective, it seems like that sort of gave her courage, like, oh, they're kicking ass, I can kick ass. And so what I noticed is you started to get more sales, started to get more revenue, but then so after that first cohort, you were bringing in more revenue, but then she was doing this yo-yo thing of like, oh, I kicked ass, I brought in whatever, 20,000 of revenue. Oh, next month I brought in 5. I'm just making this up.
No, that's right.
And so from there, it was like, okay, now we know you could do it, but how do you sustain that? So when you hear somebody like Beth talk about this, I don't want you guys to walk away being like, okay, I gotta do this and this and this. It is a process. There is an order of operation to getting to where you are today. It's like, first you gotta get yourself around the key people to believe you can do it, start making progress, and then continuing to tweak as you go.
There was something so fun I saw on like an Instagram that was like, if you hang around 5 millionaires, you're gonna be the 6th. If you hang around 5 something else awesome, you're going to be the 6th. If you hang around 5 planers, you're going to be the 6th. And I think that it's really easy to hang, especially in business when you're starting out, it's hard. It's real easy to talk about how hard it is and just ruminate on, I'm broke and I don't feel like this is working and I'm scared and I'm desperate. And so if you can be around people that are like, well, focus on this, focus on this, focus on this. Here's what we did, that 100%.
I think that energy management. Yes, Anna Marie, our high-tech system works. Anna Marie, what question from Zoom do you have for us?
We have one from Julie.
Hey, Julie.
She said, can you speak to how you figured out price and how to grow your services? Like pricing your services, all that, how you grow it.
So I'm going to repeat that. So Julie asked about price and how to grow it.
And then Debbie kind of piggybacked on that. She said,
Oh,
what sort of support do you have? Is it a W-2? Is it 1099 support, that type of thing?
From like a staffing. Okay, so the question is about staffing, and I already forgot the first question. Pricing and staffing, because you know, to grow, you do have to bring on people, and that is a challenging thing. And
Totally.
So both things I think are really important questions.
Okay, pricing as far as like packaging and stuff, how you go through like starting with, you know, this kind of package.
How you figured it out.
How you decided to grow your packages, grow your pricing.
So
did you guys all hear that? Pricing and then staff.
Pricing and staff. So for us, I think one of the things, the most untold, like unkept secret, pricing is made up. 100% made up. Everybody makes up prices. Walmart's making up prices. The bank's making up prices. Everybody makes up prices. And you have to have some sort of criteria that you feel good about. And that's kind of what we did. For me, I always believed in letting everybody see everything. I wanted them to know what exactly the services cost. So we charge in like pre-production, production, and post-production. And so we have a package that it's like for the first video, if we shoot everything, it's $3,900 for one video. But if you hire us for 3 videos, it's $6,500, because if we're set up for a shoot, we can shoot 3 videos at once. I want everybody to know that. So we first, and pricing, I think, you know, you have to figure out, I mean, this is the simplest way, right? Your costs.
Jenny Yeager would be so proud.
Oh, so proud. And then you have to mark up your costs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are, and always be thinking about your time and like what your time is worth. So if you had to go find a, you know, the material, it's not just the material, it's the time it took to find the material and source the material and the relationship. So there's a markup for that.
And that's where I think new entrepreneurs, including myself and you, that's why
Oh, yeah.
forget about in early days. We are like,
big time.
our time's free.
Our
We're
time's-
not gonna include.
I don't need to, you don't need to pay for me. And trust me, that is the worst thing you could do is immediately make that mistake.
Which we all have done.
We all done. So really get, and I mean, in the back end now, because I have been working with Jenny Yeager, who's like, we're getting down to like the nitty gritty as far as time and what that looks like. But what is my time from a salesperson on this? What is my time? What is Stephanie's time? What does all of that look like? Making sure all those costs are covered with a profit.
Yes.
With a
And
profit.
not apologize. You have either be a for-profit or not be a for-profit.
No,
If you're a for-profit, you gotta build a profit.
Right. And then you have to own it. And I think that the things that can scale up in terms of pricing. So for us, it's just looking at our services and what makes it easier for us to do more. So if we have somebody that wants us to do one video, it takes X amount of time. But if we're going to do 10 videos for them that day, it's basically a little bit more time.
Yeah.
So we are able to say, like, here's your economy of scale.
Yeah.
So really understanding, like, okay, what does everybody need to be paid? What's the markup? What's the profit? What do I want to be paid? And then thinking, how can you, at least this is what I did to answer the question directly, how can there be a bulk rate? Like, what is the economy of scale? How can, you know, what am I looking for my clients? If they're going to order a bunch from me, I'm glad to discount them, but they have to order X amount. And so we got to the point where it was like, okay, at this, there's a price break. At this, there's a price break. At this, there's a price break. And I don't typically negotiate anymore. I used to a lot. And I still do sometimes, but I try not to. And just say, yeah, at this point, this is the price and this is the price break for everybody. So I think pricing, you know, it's tricky because yes, you can see what the market is. And to answer the W-2 question.
Well, I'm gonna pause you before you
Oh,
answer
yeah.
the question. Are you done with the pricing thing?
Yeah.
I just want to give my 2 cents on the pricing because to your point, you can get a video, you can hire a videographer for $250 and you can hire a videographer for $10K
Oh yeah.
for the same video. And what I've noticed with price, to your point, it's all made up.
Oh, it's all made up.
But I think where people go wrong with pricing and things like that is it's not about what you're offering, which is where we get hung up. It's about who you're selling it to,
Mhm.
right? If you're buying from Tiffany's or like
Mhm.
if you're buying something from Neiman's, that is a different person than if you're buying from Sears,
Yes.
right? And if you try to put a Sears price on a Neiman's product,
Mhm.
they're like, "Ooh, I don't want that."
Something's not right.
So I think
Yeah.
where business owners go wrong is instead of thinking about your product, think about who are you selling it to.
Mhm.
Because I think you have worked a lot on that as to who is my person that's buying videos. If you're going to some $200 million company and offering 3,900 or what, you know, they're gonna be like, she's not of value, so to speak.
Mhm.
You know, so that's, I'm gonna push back a little bit on that. I think it's about who are you selling it to, and that really dictates your prices. I mean, I think everything you said is valuable too, but I think that whole reverse order,
Totally.
it's like just throwing stuff on a wall, kind of the same thing with pricing. You have to start with who am I selling it to?
Right. Who's the customer I want to serve and what do they want?
And what can they afford?
And what can they afford? What do they, you know, what do they really like? The $10,000 videos, this was something that when we first started, because I worked in television. So I felt really like we could play in any game. We could do a $500,000 Toyota commercial if we needed to. And I was much more interested in working with business owners. I'm a new business owner. That was something that was, and I thought, you know, there is this huge market of people that I would love to educate that don't need a red camera. A lot of these people that charge the 10,000 red cameras are what they shot like Lord of the Rings on. They're this very fancy camera and videographers just go nuts for it. They are way too much manpower for most marketing videos. And there's red cameras and these different kinds of gimbal. And I always thought these people have unfulfilled filmmaking dreams. And they're, yeah, and they're charging a lot more, and great that they can get it. And there's some people that want to buy that. But for me as a business owner, what do I really need to create a business? That's what I'm interested in selling. That's who I'm interested in selling to. So it was also like a kind of integrity thing as far as what kind of service did I want to offer, the kind of service I want to buy, like that. And then what does that cost? I want to pay more because I want to get this, this, and this. And then that's what we offer too. So I think that helps a lot to figure out who that customer is. Sometimes it's you. You know, we've been hiring.
Sometimes, I
some-
think a lot of times people start businesses for themselves.
Exactly. This is what we have a contractor where I just bought a house and we have this and I just want to be like, let me write your bids. Let me do like, here's how I want to be sold to. I want you to write this out. And that's what I've created.
Okay, now I'll get into the next question that Debbie asked about, as you scale and double your revenue, it clearly impacts your staffing, and we've had lots of conversations about staffing and all that good stuff.
It's very hard. And this is my, just transparently, 2022 is the journey, I feel like, of growing the team. Because in 2018, I brought in our first employee, our W-2 employee, and it was the best thing I ever did for my business. And the scariest thing, because I was working with contractors, so I never had to pay, and I still, to a high extent, there's not a cost going out unless there's a dollar coming in. And that is a really nice, safe feeling, right? Like, I'm not going to send a check to a contractor if I don't have a check myself. Whereas a W employee to employee, there is not that is not the situation. But what I've realized is, so it's about half and half. We have the one W-2 employee, and our organization, we are producers. So our kind of differentiator is that, yes, we will make sure that we get great shots and great edits and all of that, but we are, project managers, we're writers, we're marketing people that are going to handhold you through the whole process. And that's what we sell, and that's what makes us different than, the guy off the street that's just gonna come and maybe produce your video, but likely just be the technical person and they want you to produce the video. So that's what our value proposition is. That's what makes us different. So I brought on a producer that really serves that core business. So that's what we do a lot of. So sometimes we just edit things. Sometimes we just shoot things, but we are always project managing it. We are always making sure it meets your communication goals. So that's how I decided on our first staff, because that's what I needed to do less of personally.
Yeah,
is that
Beth is great at sales, Beth is great at biz dev, so let's get somebody to do the other. And not that you couldn't do the other things, but let's.
No, I mean, my whole entire career up to that point was producing. It's crazy. Like, when I see people from my old life, they're like, you're not producing anymore? Like, very rarely. But yeah, that really helped. And I think when you start to do enough in revenue, like one of the things with Jenny Yeager, sweet Jenny Yeager, she should have come.
Lots of plugs for you, Jenny.
Looking at, it might seem like a good idea to have contractors, but at a certain point, you can save a lot of, back to that bulk rate, back to that economy of scale on your own business, you can save a lot of money by bringing it in-house.
Right.
And
If it's the right time.
If it's the right time. And what is the right time is very tricky.
Right. We have 7 minutes. Did you have any more questions, Anna Marie? Or someone had a question? Yes, no?
I have a DIY question.
Okay.
So I finally, after having a year goal of putting like a link tree or a landing page on my social media, I finally did it last week. I'm obsessed with it. And of course, there's a free version and paid version. I did the paid version.
Look at you.
And one of the benefits is you can include a little video.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I hate videos. I hate going live on Facebook. I hate seeing myself and talking to even this. I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm shaking thinking about it. So for someone that is not comfortable being in front of a camera, but wants to have some sort of video, like the training behind this link in bio, they said people want to see the whites in your eyes. They want to know you're not crazy. They want to trust you. They want to see more than just a picture. Like a couple things, what would you recommend? That I put in that video.
Yeah,
if I get the gumption not to do it.
So if you guys can't hear on Zoom, her question is, a lot of times they talk about these like intro videos, like specifically for Emily, she has a link tree, which is something on social media, and they're allowing her to have this like quick intro video. So
what is a link tree?
So it's like, on social media, when you go to Instagram and it's the bio, usually you can just put one link there, like your website or your LinkedIn. What Linktree allows you to do is the link is this Linktree link, but when you click on it, there's like 5 things, or I'm just using 5 arbitrarily, you can have as many as you want, but these buttons that you can push, so it's like, go to my website, go to my LinkedIn, like allowing the user to go to several different places.
Okay.
So it's just a way to be able to show off more of what you're doing with just one link versus only having one place to send people.
Okay.
QR code.
Or like a
So
QR
your
code.
QR code can say, follow me on LinkedIn, fill out my contact page, check out my website, whatever, you've got 4 or 5
Okay,
options.
let's go.
But I think the overarching question, regardless of a link tree or QR code, is if you only have one
30
quick
seconds.
video and you're gonna DIY it and you hate making these videos and it's not your strength.
Right.
Like just a couple quick tips, which I'm sure you won't even be able to scratch the surface in 2 minutes. But like just quick tips of like, make sure to have your face in it the right way. Or like,
Sure.
I'm not.
Make sure to have your face in it. The right way. Let's go.
I'm not giving advice.
Window behind you.
Yes, that is actually a
Yeah.
great tip. The
Are there-
window is the cheapest DIY light you can have if it's on your face, not behind you.
So no backlighting.
No backlighting,
Make
but the window's way better than most of those cheap lights on, if you can get like in this room. First of all, I would say, I'm gonna drill this again. What do you want people to do at the end of that
That's
video?
so good.
What do you want them, and it cannot be 10 things. That's why I'm gonna push back a little bit on the link tree, because if you tell them to go to your website, you tell them to opt in, you tell them to buy now, you tell them to set up a consultation, they're gonna close out and
Yeah.
move on with their life. If you tell them to go read your free blog or your, call you, if you have one specific thing you want them to do, that's gonna make your script a lot easier. And then back it up, what is gonna compel them to do that one thing? What is the most convincing thing you can say to get them to do that one thing? So if you have a really strong message and a really strong script, that is gonna take a lot of that fear and mess out of it. And then practice it 10 times. I mean, for people some people are like, I like to wing it, and I'm all for that if that's your process. People that are typically nervous, and this was me too, way before. I was a producer. I went into television and film to be behind the camera strategically. Then I got my own business, and now I have to put myself out.
She's great. Her videos are great.
Well, now they
are all the time.
8 years later, I've
Yeah.
been forced to do it. But if you practice and you feel good about what you say, then you're gonna you gotta feel good about it all. You gotta feel good about how you look. So pick a cute outfit, which the first thing I thought when you walked in here was like how cute you were.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, this gal knows style, love the barrette. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue. Because literally my first impression, so look really cute. Whatever that means to you, that's a different thing for
Show off
everybody.
your personal brand.
Your personal brand, wear makeup like you're going to a wedding. I always say that's kind of like the makeup tip I give for being on camera. It's always more. So look really cute, feel really cute, and then have such a dialed in message that you've practiced. And again, that's all before you ever set up your shot and push play or push record. Then when you set up your shot, a backdrop as neutral as you can possibly be. So if you've got a chair and a plant next to you, great, not a window behind you. So anything that is in the backdrop should be super neutral or like not distracting in any way. It doesn't have to be this great, amazing thing, just not distracting. And then make sure there's a little bit of headroom. So your framing should be where your head is not at the very top of the frame, if that makes sense. And then make sure you've considered audio. So if you are outside, like typically an iPhone microphone's not going to be great. If you're in a conference room, in one of these Zoom rooms, in any of the conference rooms here, those are all great places to shoot and really easy to find a nice neutral backdrop. And then, get it done and make it as short as possible, because if you're nervous, let's work with less actual content to make you feel, and then you'll put it out there. Someone will say something about it, and then you'll realize it's working, and then you'll be compelled to make another one, and then so on and so on.
Awesome.
But even
Yeah.
thinking about like your cadence of when you speak and which word you're emphasizing, and that's probably more
Yeah.
your kind of skill.
Yep.
Yep, that's why people can hire Lori and they're
Yeah,
working
and
with
like how
that.
you're supposed to
And
say
stick-
like 3
Yeah.
points and it's boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
and then your next sentence is not about, it really, and you try the different cadence and you try which word you're gonna emphasize, and they change dramatically as you.
Yeah,
listen
and you practice
and
it.
read it, like hear it back, right?
So it's 10:30, so to respect Zoom people, y'all can stick around and chat with Beth all day long, and obviously I can chat with her all day long. So sorry for being a little bit over. Thank you all for attending. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it.
Yes, this was fantastic.
Next week's presentation is in St. Louis. this is a little bit different in 2022. We do every other week in the city. So if Denver folks want to listen, be sure to tune in on Zoom. Like I said, Sheila Burkett, I'm telling you what, she is, it's one I've admired for years. So she is very impressive and someone that has really done amazing things with her company and truly a champion of women. So I encourage Denver folks to Zoom in, and St. Louis folks, if you're comfortable, I encourage you to go in person because there's something about being in person that's so powerful. So anyway.